in there and we'll answer them. All right?
Right.
So the first question my wife did ask was, should the couple have access to each other's phones? Is that what it is? Okay, so
yes.
my
Passcodes and stuff like that.
okay. Well, my answer is simple. Yes. The reason I say that is you should have nothing to hide. I mean, literally, that's where my mind goes when a spouse wants to hold the phone. It's like, well, what are you hiding, right? What is it that you don't want me to see? And that's what that communicates, right? I mean, these are just human nature. It's just the way we're wired that if you do that, it comes off as suspicious. So
Right.
if you're not up to anything, you should have nothing to hide. Now, maybe you're trying to surprise them on their birthday or something special like that, and you don't want to blow the cover. All right, we get it. But my point is, if you have nothing to hide, you should be able to look at the phone. So.
But what about just respect and privacy?
I think that respect, there is a certain thing with respect. Like, I'll give you all an example, right? Everybody has their pet peeves. And so here's one that showed up for me. My wife and I got married. A package came for me. And I came home and the package was like ransacked. Like, my wife didn't even open the box neatly. That's right, y'all. I'm going to throw her under the bus. She tore it. I mean, I was like, baby, did an animal open this thing? She tore the thing up. And so I got upset. I did, and I had to talk with my wife, and I said, hey, babe, I know you remember, honey. I know you do, because I can't forget it. So I said, baby, listen, okay, look, you can be here with me when I open any package that comes for me, but let me open it. It's just my thing. I wasn't trying to hide anything, and I said that. Look, I'm not trying to hide anything. You can stand right next to me for every package from now until God calls us home. You can open it. I'll open it in your face. So you can tell I'm not trying to hide anything, but it's just a pet peeve. It came for me, just like a package comes for you. I'm going to put it on your side of the bed or on your sink. It's because when you get home, I want you to see it, right? It's funny because then we moved on. We advanced from the ripping of the package to now, okay, how about when my packages come, you put it on my side of the sink like I do yours, instead of me like, hey, Amazon said they sent me something. Where is it? Anybody seen Daddy's package? Everybody else, when they get a package, Daddy takes care of it. He makes sure he puts it on the table where they can see it. Daddy gets a package. That's it. It's just tossed somewhere in the house, and I got to figure out where it is. Anyway, y'all, sorry. Help me. Pray for me.
He's still working on himself, guys, so.
No, seriously, that's real, though. That's really powerful.
So basically we're saying that, yes, it is good to respect each other's privacy, but because, but there is a certain level of intimacy that the relationship can never get to if you have secrets. Yeah. And basically what we're saying is that keeping a passcode that you do not share with your spouse, that's almost like keeping a secret. Mm-hmm. So that says I don't completely trust you. And I think really that's what it communicates, because although a hubby and I, we don't, have passcodes that each other don't know about, I mean, right?
Yeah.
we don't have that, but we don't go into each other's phones either. I mean, we can, but we just don't.
There's no
because
need to.
We don't. Yeah, I mean, but if I was, kind of feeling weird about something around you, because us as ladies, we do get those vibes. Yeah. We do have those moments to where
Yeah.
He calls it Spidey. He calls it Spidey sense.
Yeah.
Hello, a man that really doesn't understand will call us crazy. However, God has given us that certain level of spiritual awareness to where something ain't right with our man, we kind of can tell.
It's called suspicious. They're just very suspicious.
Right.
About things.
So when that happens, I reserve the right to just be like, let me just make sure he okay. Boo, did you take your medication today? And that's a question you never ask your spouse if they took their medication, because apparently, especially if they're not on medication, you don't ask that. Yeah. But I just, we do reserve that right, babe?
Yeah.
Again, guys,
yes,
if you're just joining us, please share this. You never know. Someone may have a relationship question that they've been going back and forth with their spouse, and maybe we can help to be that third party for you guys as well. Welcome again, Barbara. Welcome, Jasmine. Thank you so much, guys. Please share this information, like and share to your page, and also invite someone on, right? Mm-hmm. Okay.
By the way, guys, those of you who just joined us, just so you know, relationship Q&A, so please, any questions you have, bring them on. Even if it's not your question, bring it on. If you know someone who's shy and afraid to ask the question, bring it on. If your spouse has a question that they asked you last week that you're curious about, bring it on.
Yes.
Any question you have, bring it on. That's what we're doing today. Is we want to address your needs.
Right.
So anyway, so we just answered one question. So go ahead, honey.
Again, for those that's just joining us, our question that we just addressed was: should a couple be able to access each other's phones at any moment? Mm-hmm. And I would say emails too. Oh, and what about? Oh no, I won't mention social media because that's one of the next questions. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, and our answer is absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to not allow your spouse to have that right into your life is kind of saying, you know, I have something to hide, or, you know, we also talked about, okay, what about respecting each other's privacy?
Mm-hmm.
And so how does that show up in a situation to where you're still trying to keep integrity in the relationship and not have secrets? It shows up with still be respectful. If you have a question and you're curious about something that's going on in your spouse's phone, maybe they are acting weird. And I was just teasing, saying that I would go snooping, but I won't really do that. I'll just talk to him and say, babe, is there something going on with you?
Yep.
And, you know, and I was tempted to look in your phone to see, you know, if you know, why you acting shady, somebody trying to hit you up or something. You know, thank God we haven't had to deal with anything like that recently.
Yeah, no, honey, nothing's going on. It's just Shakira from all states. She wears khakis. I'm just joking.
So funny.
No, I'm sorry.
So,
let me stay focused, Charlie. Let me stay focused.
Yes. So anyway, that was the next question. So let's go to the next one.
Yeah.
How this is a big one.
Okay.
How to help family members financially without going broke, and 2, driving a wedge between you and your spouse.
Okay, so hold on. Before we answer that one, I want to encourage y'all, put the questions in the comments, y'all, because once we're done with the ones we've already gotten, we're going right to yours. So please ask away. Don't be shy.
Yes.
So it's about...
Okay, how to help family members financially without, number 1, going broke.
Gotcha.
And number 2,
gotcha.
Do you want to answer it separately? Because it's number 1 and number 2, driving a wedge between you and your spouse.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we can do it together, so it doesn't matter.
Okay.
But here's my answer. When it comes to family members, look, y'all, people are always going to want to borrow money. This is the way life is. It's just, my mentor Jim Rohn used to say, if it upsets you, fine, go get your own planet and you can rearrange the whole deal. But if you're going to live on planet Earth, this is what it comes with, right? Mm-hmm. And especially if you are successful financially, business-wise, people just ask. It's the way that it is. Yes. So, and sometimes those people will be family, right? I think somebody just asked the question. Oh, that was you, baby? Yes. Okay, I think, here's what I would say. And when it comes to family, I think that's something you and your spouse should work out together. Let me say that again. That's something you and your spouse should work out together, especially because we believe in putting your resources together, right? That whole thing about, oh, that's my money and that's your money. Mm-hmm. Like, we don't believe in that. Now, you're free to, run your relationship however you want. It's a free country and God made you a free moral agent, so you should do whatever you want in your relationship. But for us, we choose to do everything as one, because that's the whole point. Is when I was single, I did things a certain way. When she was single, she did things a certain way. Now that we are married, we do things our way. Right. And that's what we believe. So based on that belief is how I'm going to answer this question on the money side, is that, hey, family member wants to borrow some money and you need to touch the family money, you need to touch anything around it, hey, you talk to your spouse. Now check this out. My wife and I do have what we call a no questions asked account, right? And I've talked about this before on some of these trainings. So all of our money comes into one pot. We've got multiple businesses, whether I brought one in and she brought another one in, or we built the business together, all the money comes into one pot. From that pot, we've got different pots. So we've got our main pot, then we've got our savings, then of course we got retirement, then of course we got, something to kids with fun, and then emergency money, so on and so forth. Again, this is a whole nother topic from financial literacy, which, by the way, we should probably cover at some point.
Oh, absolutely.
Because money is such a big deal in marriages.
And a lot of people divorce
because of money, right?
I figured it out.
One of the top 3 reasons, I think.
Right, absolutely.
And so anyway, so for us, here's how we do that. If it's something that we have to take money from the family money and give to another family member, we need to talk about it. Mm-hmm. 2, if it is something that I'm taking out of my no questions asked account, because my wife gets thousands of dollars. I'm trying to keep our stuff private, y'all. But she gets thousands of dollars a year that she gets to spend, no questions asked. If she wants to buy 30 pairs of shoes, she can do it.
or 5 purses.
Whatever. That's all her, right? She can do whatever she wants. And I did the same thing on my side, right? But again, that's after the money's been split up in between all these pots that we talked about. So if I decide to give a family member money from my no questions asked account, I don't need to consult with my wife. Because that's the whole point of no questions asked. But if I'm going to touch the family money, oh yeah, that's our decision together. So I can't say that enough. In terms of the second part of that, it said what was the limit? So it doesn't drive a wedge?
Yeah, and how do you do it to where it doesn't drive a wedge between you and your spouse?
Yeah, that's one of the ways. So I just gave y'all 2 ways. If it's coming from my family money, we talk about it. But if I'm going to pay it out of my no questions asked, I just give it to her, right? Or get, like I was saying, I said her, because my mom actually just called me this morning. It's interesting how parents usually are the ones who, you know, it's almost like they're entitled to the money. My mom's called me this morning. She's like, so, how much you going to give me for the thing? I'm like, Mom, you've been talking to me about this for a week, and I told you, give me a second, let me consider what I want to do. Now it's, how much you going to give me? It's not, baby, did you decide to give me? No, it's how much you going to give. She was already in part 2. It's funny, they find a way to always be in your wallet. So anyway, so I told my mom, hey, Mom, all right, I'll give you $1,000 towards it. She wants to do something for my grandfather who's passed away back home in Nigeria. They're building something for him, and she wants me to contribute. So, hey, guess what? I didn't need to talk to my wife about that because I'm paying it out of my own what? No questions asked account. So hopefully that helps you.
Right.
Anything you want to say about that?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things too that we did, remember at the beginning, we actually haven't had to go into this account lately. I mean, it's been years. I guess we kind of trained all our people around us. Okay, so basically one of the things we did is, hey Nikki, how are you? Thank you, Melissa. We do see your question and we'll be answering it soon. So one of the things that we would do is we created an account, and we would say, you know what, we have this account, and this is the only money that we're going to loan people money from. And that account was maybe like a $2,500 a year or something like that. It was small. And so when that money ran out, and if someone came to us again, we would say, listen, we have an account that we loan people or family members money from, or we give money from, and as soon as someone pays us back from that account, then we will give that to you. Another strategy. And so did y'all catch that? Look, she's laughing because when we came up with this, because we had so many people that kept coming with their hands out. And so we were like, man, we don't want to feel bad. And we don't want to not help our
Not help
family.
them, that's right. So we created a way to have integrity. Because the other thing that people do around this is they just straight up lie. People just lie. I ain't got it. You know darn well you just spent $500 yesterday on Boo Boo and the kids. You could have gave me $350. So rather than us lying, we decided to come up with a way that leaves us with our integrity, but at the same time lets them know, look, I don't have extra right now to give to you. Everything I've got is already spoken for. Right. So now this does not include our moms, of course. So mom, don't get excited. Our moms don't go in that little space with everybody else out there. So the other thing is, one of the things, hi Dee, hey Lena, glad you're joining us again. Dee and Eric, oh that's Dee. Yeah. Okay, what's up now? Okay, so one of the other things we would do as well, sorry that cut off, okay, is that we would then say that if there is an issue and the person, we felt like the person was kind of taking advantage of us, we would then say, okay, if they ask us for $500, we will offer them $250. And if they have an attitude about it or they're acting shady, then we would give them nothing. Yep. So to us, and that's something that we decided to do together, and as a result, it has definitely served us. It's helped us to weed out those that are just being greedy. Yeah, just being greedy or just being insincere or whatever. Right. And I learned that one from a brother that I did business with, and he said his father taught him that. He said if a person asks you for X amount, you know, let's say it's $1,000, you offer them some portion that you're willing to never get back. That's the key. It's an amount that if they never paid you back, you're not going to sweat it. So if they ask me for $1,000 and the amount that I'm willing to give, that if I never get it back, I'm okay, is $250, and I say $250 to the person when they ask me for $1,000, and they start kind of like, oh man, you know what, man, I don't know. You know what? Well, how about I give you the amount that I was giving you before you called me? Look, y'all, it's not about being mean to people. It's that,
Right.
look, man, you got to understand, there's some people out here just trying to take advantage of you, and there's some people that actually have a legitimate need. A person who has a legitimate $1,000 need will be grateful for the $250,
Yeah.
because all they got left now is $750 to get.
Yes.
You with me? So
Yes,
anyway, y'all,
absolutely.
that's the philosophy behind that one.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so we have a couple. We had like about 10 questions coming at one time.
You guys
in the
rock.
Inbox and everything. So we have several here, but I'll go to Melissa. It says,
Yes.
any suggestions on how? I hope you guys can hear me. Melissa Irvin said, any suggestions on how to get your husband to release some of the attachment to his mom? I absolutely love my mother-in-law. She is so sweet, but sometimes my husband goes overboard with always calling when we have disagreements or refer to how his mother does things when he was growing up.
Yeah, this is a tricky one.
Yes.
Because it goes back to that video we did, I don't know if it's the last one or second to last, where we talked about love languages. And we shared with you guys that inside every man is still that little boy that his mom raised. Inside every girl, every woman is that little girl her dad raised or didn't raise, right? And so this is a tricky one, because that's a relationship that if he didn't have, he probably would not be as great of a guy to you if his mom didn't establish, here's how you treat a lady, right? So I'm sure you're grateful for that relationship, but at the same time, there is that other piece of, hey, we married now, what they say in the South, we's married now, right? We're married now. And so now that we're married, guess what? You unmarry your mother and you marry your wife. It's just that simple. And I'm using that language very loosely, of course. We know he's not married to mom, but
Right.
I share that with you all just to say, yes, you're right, sis. That is something that does need to happen so that your relationship can remain healthy. And if you're having a hard time getting him to hear that, my suggestion is possibly get another male that he respects, not that you respect, a male that he respects to share with him, And of
Yeah.
course, do it in a tasteful way. You don't want to throw your hubby under the bus, and you also don't want to make the hubby feel like he's being assassinated or cornered at an intervention. You don't want to cause that. So use some couth, a level of class. Ask someone that he loves, that he admires, that he respects to share it. And this is also the other thing why I love having this platform that we have with Facebook, in that if you and your spouse are dealing with something and you guys like us or like what we're about, our philosophies, our teachings, you're free to ask those tough questions here. And then let us be that third party, because then in that situation, that's a third party that you all trust, us, that will share, obviously, from our hearts what we believe is genuine and sincere. So hopefully that helps you.
Yeah, I think that was a great answer. Just one other thing, maybe a good strategy is that if you see that when you guys are having disagreements and he's asking or he's going to his mom to get advice, and then he's coming back telling you, well, she said, well, mom did it this way, whatever, maybe join him in that, because you ever heard the saying, if you can't beat him, join him? Look, you know what? I would like to get your mother's opinion, because she sounds like a wise woman. Let us go to her together. And maybe she really does have some wisdom to impart, and I'm sure she does. So try the approach of listening, seeing if there really is something that you perhaps need to get from her.
Right.
And be open to receiving from her, but still encouraging your husband, like, listen, it's not that I don't want to listen to your mom, it's just that I don't want to feel like you're listening to her and not hearing me at all. I don't want to feel like I'm number 2 on your list when I'm supposed to be number 1. And that's the main thing that women are looking to communicate, and that we need from our husbands to know that, okay, I want to respect your mom too, but you putting her before me causes resentment, and that's what happens when husbands put their moms before their wives. So wives, be prayerful, because again, that's a relationship that you need to help to continue to nourish and nurture yourself with your husband, because she's going to be in your life for the rest of your life. That's right? So you want to take care of that relationship, but at the same time, you want to encourage your spouse, like, baby, we can listen to her, but let's make an agreement that we listen to her together, and then we leave her and we make a decision on how we're going to deal with our life's issues on our own outside of what mom taught you and outside of what my mom taught me.
Right.
But, you know, because when we came into our relationship, it was, am I going too long?
Yeah, because we want to get to more questions.
Okay, yeah. All right, so this is going forever.
But look, let me say this though. I think that was a good answer, baby, because there's a lot of wisdom in that. The only thing I will add to it is just be careful, because sometimes we do things for the short term, not thinking what that means on the long game. So the only thing I would caution there about with what the suggestion my wife gave is somehow intertwine in there that this is your marriage. And your mom is not a third leg on a table that's supposed to have 2 legs, right? Well, 4 legs, 2 of y'all, 5th leg. You get it. You get the point. But my idea, though, my point here is really just make sure that in doing that, you guys work that out too. So a suggestion that comes off the top, just very loosely, is, hey, how about we talk to mom about that? But before we do, can we agree that we're going to keep things in our marriage moving forward, and that if we do need a third party, we'll agree on it together and pick the third party together. Fair? I think that's a good way to handle the immediate while still taking care of the long game. So,
right.
Anyway.
Yes, exactly. And you have Lonzo that just said, what's done in this house stays in this house. We work it out together as one. Absolutely.
I love that, brother.
Absolutely, yes.
All right.
Well, I do have
You got
another
another
question.
one?
Yeah. So this question is question number 4, and it's discussions on social media etiquette. Basically, when it comes to liking others' questionable pictures and sharing each other's business online. Well,
sharing each other's business, is that like negative business?
I would say just in personal business, maybe without asking your spouse, you're just sharing your business. You know.
Yeah, I mean that can be tricky. That can be
Absolutely.
dangerous. So if we're talking about personal business, look, look, you guys know me. Right here, I'm gonna hit you square between the eyes. Look, people, don't. Alonzo just said it. What did they say about Vegas? What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Your house is Vegas. Stop sharing your spouse's personal business unless they want you to.
Right.
Now, okay, I know that this can be a slippery slope because we do have some spouses that are maybe more sensitive than another, and it gets a little tricky. But the point is, look, on your Facebook page, talk about you, because you're not going to be mad at yourself for what you said about you. But when it comes to your spouse, maybe you should just ask, at least courtesy. Baby, is it okay that I share this? Sure, honey, but don't talk about this. Okay, fine. But the point is, it's a form of respect, guys.
Yeah.
It's just courtesy. I've had people when I lived in New York, New Jersey, that I would say good morning to, and they would literally do this to me. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry for living. Jeez Louise. I was just saying good morning. Yeah, I've had people say that. What's so good about it? Like, Lord have mercy. I just said good morning. I didn't ask you to buy anything. Just good morning. But anyway, guys, we get it. So the point is just common courtesy. That's all I'm trying to say.
Well, I mean, honey, this is very interesting because, you know, I'm very open. I share just about all our business online. When everything we do with our kids, what we do with our marriage ministry, when we go on a date day. I mean, I don't share everything, but I share a lot, and I don't ever ask you.
Because I'm okay with it, though. I think the thing there is, in a way where public figures have been for a long time, and so you already know, hey, my husband does not mind telling this stuff or sharing this stuff, but if there was something that she felt was personal or intimate with me, I know she would ask. She wouldn't even feel right sharing it. So I think that also needs to be said.
And what's interesting that I see that we do, hubby and I do, if there's something that maybe I want to share or something he wants to share, we share it with you guys on a live forum like this. Like if it's something personal that we think that someone can grow from or learn from, we share it on a live forum and we make it into a story. I mean, heck, we've even put it in books.
In fact, it's so funny.
All our business.
People ask us all the time. Somebody asked me about 3 weeks ago, maybe a little longer. I know it was in the last month or two though. He said to me, Obi, why you guys? Why should we listen to you? There's so many so-called relationship experts out here. Why you guys? And I sat for a second, and literally in less than a minute, I was like, I got it. I'm going to tell you why. It's because we read and practice these things in our own marriage, and then we teach out of our marriage. So what we're teaching actually has a power to it versus someone who just opened the book, read page 52, and then wants to come and share what they read. They are not living it. They're not walking it out. All they're doing is talking about what they read, someone else walking out. So that's the difference here as well, is that we don't mind sharing things that we've gone through because we know that our marriage is not just for us. There are many more marriages that God wants to bring through this union. We have to be open about the things we've gone through. We have to be willing to share. And so our message has a certain sound to it. There's a certain power behind what we share with people, and they feel it. They know it. You ever seen somebody, you never met them before, and they tell you something, and you're like, something ain't right. They're lying. Something ain't right. That's what the Southern folks do. Something ain't right, and you can tell. How did you know? But then you somebody you meet, and you've never heard them before, and they tell you, and you're like, oh my gosh, there was such power, there was such truth in what they said. Look, all that is because they're being authentic. And that's the difference that I'm saying here, is that with us, we're being authentic based on our lives. But if you're not in that situation, maybe you're not a public figure, maybe you're not teaching people in that way, I would say courtesy, ask your spouse before you share.
Absolutely. All right, so great answer, babe.
Thank you.
Yeah, I tell a lot, and so thank you for allowing me that. Because it feels so good to share all of it. So I'm just kidding. All right, so I have another question, and this one is very interesting. Wow. Okay. And then I think we should also address Abina, because she's been asking us this question for a few weeks now, and we've never gone there.
There was one also earlier.
Yeah, it's in here. Oh, okay. This is Abina, the one I'm speaking to. But Abina will address. We stick around because we'll address yours after this one. So this one, and I believe this is question number 5. How can I get my spouse to stop speaking to me in a rude, sarcastic manner that I'm not comfortable with?
Wow, good one. You know what's crazy about that? The wild thing about situations like that is it's probably how they've been used to talking to people. And to them, it doesn't even occur to them that they're rude or sarcastic. And so a lot of times, you think that, they're just trying to be rude and sarcastic. But for them, it's their normal way of speaking. It kind of showed up in our relationship. Here's me now, like, putting our stuff out again, right? Here it is. So it's funny, the analogy I've always used is, everybody knows, well, maybe you don't know, I'm Nigerian, born and raised, full blood, first generation here in America. So I come from a different, not only culture, but continent, right? And so if you were to see two Nigerian men, right, we call it Naija. If you see two Naija men talking, you would swear a fight's about to break out. No joke, because we're just passionate people. It's just who we are. There's so much passion involved when we speak. And so, they'll be like, you'll hear all this passion, and then in the last 30 seconds, oh, my brother, oh, my brother. Not brother, broda, B-R-O-D-A. My brother. And so you'll be like, man, I thought there was a fight about to break out. I had popcorn, I was waiting. And so, but here's the thing, when I got into my relationship with my wife, I brought that in. I'm already a passionate person in my genetics. And then on top of it, culturally, so I had this thing where some of you can feel it. Sometimes I get very passionate, just a little bit. Yes, and so I had to learn to kind of tone that down, because who did I marry, right? We always marry our opposites. I married the soft Southern Cookie Belle, right? That's who I married. My wife, when she talks, her words, they're like songs coming out of her mouth as she's speaking. Meanwhile, I'm the guy that's, no, let's go get him now. And so she's like, whoa. Honey, why all this firepower? And I'm like, honey, what firepower? This is normal. What are you talking about? So I had to learn to bring that down. Right. But it took me listening, right? It took her understanding that, hey, he's not yelling. In his mind, he doesn't believe he's yelling. Because I used to be like, I'm not mad. Yes, you are. Look at you. No, I'm mad now because you're now making me mad. So you see what happens, guys? But it takes that listening of each other and understanding of each other's worlds. That's where I see a lot of people miss each other, because they don't take the time to understand and learn each other. So as an example, that Naija experience I just described to you, my wife had to learn that. And so in learning that, she's like, oh, so he really doesn't think he's yelling. In his mind, he's just being passionate. Right. In his mind, he's just being a Naija man. He's just being who he is from his country. So I had to learn to bring that down with my wife. And then, when I do get passionate, now she's excited when I get passionate about things, because she's like, I know he knows, so he must be passionate because this is something worth being passionate about. Ooh, let me listen. So that's now there's an understanding. So a lot of times you need to take the time and make sure you get his world, her world, right? That maybe he doesn't think he's being sarcastic. Maybe it's just the way his mom, his father, his siblings all dealt with each other. Right. I don't know, but what I'm saying is look beyond your offense.
Yeah.
I hope you caught that. Look beyond you being offended and do your best to gain understanding first. That's what I was saying. I feel like if you get that first, it's the rest of it should be pretty straightforward in terms of how to handle it. Mm-hmm. Because now even when you go to talk about it, it'll be something like this. Baby, listen, I get it. You're a Nijaman. You guys, in your culture, you guys speak with such passion about everything. But baby, in my world, when you talk to me like that, it makes me feel like you're yelling. Like it bothers me, honey. I don't want to feel afraid of you or feel like you're being sarcastic and making fun of me. Oh, baby, I'm sorry. I didn't even know I was doing that. See? Boom. Problem solved. Yeah. So again, I don't know if it'll be that easy, but gain understanding first.
Yeah. And then outside of just culture, mm-hmm. you know, because you spoke a lot about culture and mm-hmm. then what that looks like. Mm-hmm. And for me, it was culture as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like
very true.
My mom was pretty much laid back. I may have seen her yell about 3-4 times in my entire life. Mm-hmm. I mean, she gets upset. Don't get me wrong, but yelling and being aggressive, I've never had to experience that. Mm-hmm. And the one time that I did in my home, the situation was completely brought to an end immediately, drastically, and it was never done again. So my relationship with controversy or issues like that was always, stay away from them because they're dangerous, right. They're unhealthy, right. And relationships can't be resolved through that right. type of communication. So that was for me. The one thing too that I do know that sometimes women, we do that based on, environment, our family, and also unresolved issues. Sometimes we forget that we actually have issues that are unresolved, and our spouses forget that there are issues that are unresolved that you're forcing us to live with. But yet we're still trying to get along. We're still trying to be civil, but yet in the back of our mind, you never address that concern I have. So sometimes you may notice that if your spouse is being passive aggressive, mm-hmm. or which is very unhealthy in a relationship, and especially in a marriage, mm-hmm. It leads to divorce and damage, permanent damage in a relationship. Yeah. You see that your spouse is doing that, and you also notice that they are, being sarcastic or not really taking you seriously, or just choosing in that moment when you're getting serious, well, I'm going to pop on, I'm going to get my phone, and I'm just going to tune you out, but I'm act like I'm listening. That is obviously something that's happening in their head or in their mind that they haven't addressed with you. So just taking a moment and just ask them, what is the problem? What's the issue? What is bothering you that we haven't talked about? Again, you got to put that book out, because we really believe that what's running your relationship are the things that you're refusing to talk about, or the things that you think that you can just sweep under the rug and, oh, well, it's going to go away. Newsflash, whatever you don't deal with will eventually come back and deal with you. So our advice to couples and to individuals, anyone in a relationship, deal with your mess and watch your relationship flourish. Mm-hmm.
And deal with it up front.
Up front. Yes. As soon as you find out about it, deal with it before it becomes resentment and something that can't be fixed. That's right. Listen,
anything spoiled put in the refrigerator just slows down the spoiling process.
Yes.
I'll say that one more time. Anything spoiled that's placed in the refrigerator, it doesn't start healing. It slows down the spoiling process. Healing starts when you address the mess and discard it. Now you have a healthy space to bring something new into. So hopefully you all are catching this. Don't put it aside, because I know, especially in this country where there is this concept of being politically correct, I feel like politically correct is gray. That's another word. No, for real. Yes. There's black, there's white, and then there's gray in between. I feel like politically correct is gray. So I choose to be black and white about things. My wife chooses to be black and white about things. We don't want to input gray into the relationship, because that space will expand, right? Because you're either growing or dying. So black and white will expand, but if gray is in there, it will also expand. And then guess what? Before you know it, 3 years later, 4 years later, you guys hate each other, and you don't even really know why. It's a bunch of little things that were never addressed that were put in the refrigerator. You just shoved them under the rug somewhere out of courtesy. I know if I bring this up, he's going to get mad. I know if I share this with her, she's going to get emotional. You need to handle it, or it will handle you.
That's right. Good point.
So, yeah,
Good point.
absolutely.
Okay.
All right.
All right, so Abina says, I don't know if you want to save this for last because this can go kind of long.
Okay,
But
go
she
for
says,
it.
how, we can answer this, or we can answer another one that we have.
Okay.
How did you two meet, and how did you know you guys knew you're the one for each other?
Oh, wow. That's a long answer.
So I'm saying you want to save it for last?
Yeah, we should probably save it for a whole video.
Oh
There's
my
so
goodness!
much.
But she's been asking every
Okay.
week for like 4 months, and like
All
I'm
right,
not
baby.
kidding.
Okay, just for you and Abina. I'll say this part. I'll give a abbreviated version. No, I'm just doing it quick. It's okay. I mean, you can.
Real quick.
Yeah, I'm gonna give an abbreviated version, which
Okay.
means I'm just gonna skip a few things and
A
just
lot.
get to the meat, right?
Okay.
Long story short, in business, we met in a business together that we're still a part of, a company called Legal Shield. She ended up being one of the best, actually the best person in my organization. What took me a year to accomplish in terms of moving up the compensation plan, she did in 30 days. So there was a position called executive director. Y'all see that? She's bragging, y'all. She's doing that. What is that? That Usain Bolt thing? I think it is. Our son does it.
And
yeah,
it just
all the
looks
time.
really cool.
It really does look cool. So we met in that business, and it's a position called executive director. It took me about a year to get to it, but when she got in, she did it in 30 days. So I was like, oh wow, who is this? And before you know it, I was attracted to her because I love leadership, y'all. I love anybody who's just all about handling what they're supposed to. So I was drawn to her. Long story short, she always makes me tell this part. She says I dumped her.
He did.
Anyway, we broke up, and
He dumped me.
okay, fine, no problem. So we broke up, y'all, and we broke up. I'll spare you details. I'm trying to get to it.
Don't.
And then there was another friend of ours that joined in the business as well. Her name is Rachel. Well, at the time, Rachel Roden, and Rachel. I hooked her up with one of my best friends in the business, Johnny Davis. They got married. Rachel and Johnny moved to Charlotte, North Carolina. Rachel and Johnny called me to come out to Charlotte. They flew me out there to come and do a speaking engagement for their team. There was a whole bunch of people in the room. I don't know if it was 100 or so people there. So it was a big event. And Rachel and I were really close, like literally brother and sister. And Rachel, is Rachel on here?
No,
Oh, okay.
she's finishing her book.
Okay. So, long story short, Rachel flew me out there, and then I got there on like a Thursday. Friday morning, Rachel was like, Johnny, my brother and I are going to get some coffee. Peace. So she grabs me, wakes me up. We go to the Starbucks. We're sitting across from each other. Rachel bought me some latte, right? So I'm excited. I haven't talked to my sis in a while. And so she cornered me. She trapped me, y'all. So she says to me, she looked me in the face. She was like, Obi, you mean to tell me it hasn't been one? I was like, Rachel, what are you talking about? She was like, Obi, all these women around you, these women you dated, you gonna tell me it hasn't been one woman that just grabbed your attention? I was like, oh, is this why we're getting coffee? Because at this point, I'm waking up to the trap. And so she's like, yeah, basically, tell me now, there's gotta be at least one person who got your attention. I was like, Rachel, you know what? There was. There's one. And in that moment, I grabbed my phone and I sent her a text message. Again, there's a bunch of details that happened in between that we can share later. But long story short, I know, but I don't want to, because we'll be on here for 30 more minutes, honey. You know that.
Abina, we love you.
Yes, I probably should. That's why I'm even
This is a
saying this,
long
because this is a pretty long story.
Yes.
So anyway, long story short, I texted her in that moment. Was it the next day? The next day showed up?
It didn't happen like that.
I know, but it was the next
on
day.
my part, yeah.
It was the next
It was
day.
the next
So
day.
she got in her car, drove. She was in Georgia. Drove 3 hours, 4
Yeah.
hours,
It was I drove 5 hours. It was a 3-hour trip, but it took me 5 hours.
because she was trying to make sure that God didn't flatten her
God
tire,
don't make a mistake.
or that she didn't make a mistake, and all this other stuff.
Right.
So anyway, she shows up, and I knew myself that when I see her, I'll know, because all the men in my life who had been married. Because my dad wasn't in my life since I was 11 years old. It's a whole nother story. But all the men that mentored me up until that point who were married, all of them were married men that I totally was 100% following their lead on, had told me, when you find her, you'll know. That was always their answer, and I never understood that. I'm looking for them to tell me she's going to have a red dot like right here. Her bottom lip will be orange in the corner. That's how I'm looking for clues, right? And so they're like, you'll know. So in that moment, I said to myself, when she comes in, I'm going to know. And sure enough, she came in. I didn't say a word. She ran. You know how like your kid who hasn't seen you in a while runs up to you and leaps. I mean, they don't even care if you got bags, if you're gonna catch them. She jumped into my arms, wrapped her arms and her legs around me. I fell on the floor. That was it, y'all.
We were lost in time.
That was it, guys.
And then he looked at me. Oh God.
Yeah, you can tell him as well. Yeah.
But what about all the stuff you missed?
Baby.
What on my side of it? Just seriously talking.
You can save that for another one.
Okay, let's do it next week. You want to just tell our story next week, baby?
Maybe. All right, maybe.
Oh wait, we're gonna.
Well, yeah, I know. It's a long story, but I know.
Maybe we can do it from there.
Could be.
Okay, we're gonna be out of the country, but we're gonna find a way to make it happen. So, okay, I will leave off from there. So I had been telling everyone, except I'll just tell you this quick part.
Yeah.
I've been telling everyone that I was getting married because I had gone through, I had found myself, I spent time with God, my relationship with God was solid, I discovered my career, and the only thing my life was missing at the time was a spouse. So I was like, Lord, okay, I'm a little bit bored, you know, we're good, my life is great, I want to start dating. And I felt like God gave me the go-ahead to start dating. Now, Obi and I had dated for a year and a half, about 4 years prior, and again, he dumped me. However, he and I remained friends because I wanted to keep him in my life because he was such a great guy. However, it was friends without benefits, y'all. Hey, and it's not because he didn't try. I'll tell y'all that later. It was so funny. That's a whole nother story within itself. So, long story short, I happened to be in Georgia that time because at the time I was living in
Macon.
I was living in Macon, so I knew so as I started dating these gentlemen, I was dating about 3 or 4 guys at the time, and I started, you know, dating people, guys, you know about like when you're around people, you start getting these feelings if they're sexually active, you know, those things jump on you. So I started feeling a certain way. I'm like, okay, Lord, I'm starting to feel something. I'm not going to let nobody take advantage of my body. I'm going to save myself for my husband because I made that mistake before and I'm not doing it again, Lord. This is between you and I'm not going to get married to anybody unless I know it's from you. I know you're telling me that this is the man that you want me to give my life to for the rest of my life because I'm not doing it again after that. So anyway, I decided that I was just telling everybody I was getting married. And the only person alive that I had actually communicated with and didn't tell that I was getting married was this guy. Because, again, I still had these really strong feelings for him, and I know that he was the only person alive that could put me back in a place of starting from zero, because if he said something negative to me, it would totally crush me, so I didn't want to tell him. So I decided to go to Georgia, and that same weekend while I was there visiting my sister, he happened to call me or text me. And this was the first time out of all these years that I had responded to him in a positive way when he said, hey, I miss you. I really want to see you. I have something very important I need to tell you, but it can only be in person. And I said to him, I said, okay, well, I could be there tomorrow if you want me to. And then he was like, yeah, okay. He was really excited and blah, blah, blah. Long story short, I'm not going to tell everything. Get to the point that I actually got to go ahead from God, and I actually got to North Carolina. And while I was there, when I parked outside, I said, once I see him, if this is not God's will, then I'm going to know it because it's going to be awkward and it's just not going to feel good. And when I saw him, we locked eyes, and he doesn't remember, but he ran to me too. So we both ran together and we embraced, and yes, I did, Mama. I wrapped my legs around him, but it was appropriate though, kinda. And so we were lost in time, and in that moment, he let me go, and then he said, listen, I don't know who you're dating or what you're doing, but you have a week to let them know that you're spoken for. And he said to me before I left, he said, you're going to be my wife, Belinda, and you won't even recognize your life in the next 12 months. And he never lied, like he told the truth. Like, he completely changed my life. He was ready for marriage, and it was such a blessing. But the interesting thing is that during our year-long engagement, so many things happened between us, and God kept confirming for us over and over again, nope, right here, nope, right here, nope, right here. I wanted to walk away. He was unsure. Actually, were you unsure, babe?
We would get into disagreements.
Yeah, we would get into like a disagreement or an argument, and then we were unsure, like, oh my God, is this real? Is this what God really wants? And he, like, in that moment, someone would call us, or someone would send a long text message
talking about how our potential marriage, our engagement, blessed them, and
yes.
it was just crazy.
Yes.
Guys, you talk about validation, it came from
over
everywhere.
and over and over,
Yeah.
and it kept happening. Even every time we had a doubt, it's like the Holy Spirit and the Lord just babysat us during our engagement. He was like, nope, y'all get married. I've ordained this, it's going to happen. So if you don't believe, no problem. I will send my angels to confirm this union for you. And he did that. And I cannot wait to tell the full story because it is such a beautiful story. And I'm so grateful for it.
And while you look for the next one, honey, I'll say this. Here's the one thing I will tell you guys that really helped us, and you can choose to do whatever you want with this information, but it's our truth. I had a relationship with God, and still do, of course, before that moment with my wife. And my wife had a relationship with God outside of me. And so I bring that up to say when our human stuff was trying to get in the way, right? Because any couple that tells you that they don't argue or they don't fight or they see eye to eye on everything is just straight up lying. And so when that stuff would come up, right, when our human stuff, when our fights would happen, when our doubts would show up, when we questioned if this was the one or wondered if we should move forward, it was our faith in God that kept pointing us back. Because those people that would reach out to us and tell us about how our union or what something we said to them at dinner or in passing or in some capacity.
Or God gave them a dream.
Right. If we didn't
about us and what they saw.
Right. If we didn't have our relationship with God, we would have not been able to connect those dots. I hope you're catching what I'm saying, because a lot of us out here, we've given up on somebody who we were supposed to be with because we didn't have a relationship with God on our own. And so because of that, we allowed the human stuff to be the only thing that we use to assess the situation. And if that's the case, then you're going to walk away. Because if all we had was just our human stuff and we didn't have a relationship with God individually, when that stuff came, it would have been like, man, you don't know what you're talking about. No, because if you saw the woman I just had a fight with, if you saw the person that he just was showing up as, you wouldn't want to be with him. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, you need to have God in your own life, and then, of course, by default, in your marriage. Because last time I checked, in order to keep two things together, you need a nail, a staple gun, glue, a rubber band, some kind of rope. You need some third element that's going to keep the two pieces together, and that's God.
In the marriage, absolutely. Beautifully put.
Yeah.
But now you got me excited to really share our story and to share like the joy and the beauty that actually came out of that. So, all right. So now we're going to answer the next question. It is it a great idea to reinvent your marriage as a whole after feeling like you've been hit?
I guess the question I would say to you is, do you both really love each other? Because look, the circumstances don't matter. I need you to really hear me on this. I've seen people who have, I don't even want to say certain things on this platform, but I've seen people at their worst. But they questioned, they had to ask each other after all the anger and emotions and everything subsided was, do I still love him? Do I still love her? If you can say yes to that, then consider for a moment that the circumstances you find yourself in is here to fuse you, not confuse you. I hope you're catching that. So these things make you, because it's the things that you grow through. See, most of us say go through, G-O. I say G-R-O-W. It's the things you grow through that bring you to a different place that you would have never gotten to had that circumstance not been there. Yeah. I'll use an example. I study eagles and lions, and till this day I love them. I've got a huge statue in my man cave of an eagle. It's a bronze statue because I love it. In the Bible, those are the two animals that God uses to reference himself the most, is a lion and an eagle. And if you study an eagle, eagles are fascinating creatures. Yeah. Like, did you all know that an eagle has two lives as an example? They live up to 70 years old, but at right around the age of 35, they go to the highest peak and they pluck out their feathers and bang their beak on a rock until it falls off, and they scratch their talons on a rock until it falls off, and then they grow back new feathers, new beak, new talons, and they fly off, and they get 35 more years. That's one aspect of an eagle. Let me tell you the part of the eagle that fascinated me even the most was an eagle has one of the largest wingspans of birds, right? And so an eagle, when it flaps, can only elevate to a certain height. Do you know what turbulence is? Turbulence is that thing that the airplane hits when, and then all of a sudden you're shaking and you're like, oh my God, hang on to your seatbelt, we're going to die. No, you're not going to die. It's turbulence. So here's what happens to an eagle when it hits turbulence. Turbulence is negative resistance. Turbulence is negative resistance. When an eagle's wings hits negative resistance, it gives it uplift. In other words, the eagle could not have flown that high unless it hit something negative. It's the same thing in marriages in that there are certain places you can never go just by being in a place of bliss. I'm not saying you should go fight. Don't go pick a fight with your spouse just so we can go somewhere higher. No, don't do that. What I'm saying is when the negative resistance does come, when your circumstances that are negative shows up, how about reconsidering how you're looking at it? There's a saying that if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And so all I'm trying to say is that negative resistance gives your wings, your relationship wings, uplift. So if you're able to both be honest now, because this is where you bring it home. Do you still love them? Yes. Number 2, can we still be honest with each other about where we just screwed this up? Can you be honest with me about the things you've done wrong? I'll be honest with you about the things I've done wrong. Because if we can do those 2 things, if I can say I love you, and you can be honest with me about what you've done wrong, and I can do the same, oh my gosh, that negative resistance is going to give your wings uplift. You're going to go higher now. And then your marriage will be so much sweeter because you done been through something. Right. Look, you show me a marriage that's never been tested, and I'll show you a marriage that is going to fail. There is no marriage that I know that is successful today that didn't go through something. So all I'm saying is it's supposed to fuse you, not confuse you. Yeah. Wow. I'm very passionate about that piece.
That was good.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Lily.
Yes.
Thank you.
I guess the only thing, I really hate to even add anything to that. That was so powerful. I guess the only thing that I would add to that is just realizing that a lot of people think that when relationships at the beginning fight a lot, that's a bad sign. And it really isn't. It really isn't. It's a good sign that there's someone that's willing to stand up for what they believe to be right in the relationship. Right. Now the problem is that when you're not willing to compromise after you've decided to stand up. So compromise in a relationship looks like, okay, here comes a disagreement. Both parties are very clear on what they know they want or don't want, but no one decides that they want to, yield for the purpose of the relationship. Right. And when you're not willing to do that, then that's when the conflict continues. Right. And when there's also another sign that their conflict will continue to persist in a marriage is when you have someone who's not willing to say I'm sorry or to admit when they've done something wrong. Right. There should never be only one person always apologizing, or there should never be only one person in a marriage that's always saying I'm wrong or oh it was my bad, because if one person always loses, no, you both lose. That's right. Or if one person is always winning, neither of you are winning because the marriage is lost. So just keep that in mind as well. That at the beginning of the relationship, most people think that you fight a lot, then it means you're not supposed to be together. Mm-hmm. But studies show that if you fight a lot at the beginning, and then as a matter of fact, we did a video on this that's actually on our Instagram page. So please follow us there and keep up with us over there as well. It's at Marriage Academy, and we did a video fighting a lot at the beginning, and then not a lot is the name of the video. So check that out, and I won't go into any more details around that. But
that's really good. It's really good. I think people, just so you know, the reason that is the case is because you got to think about it. You're 2 different people. You've been 2 different ways. I mean, how old are you when you got married? 30, 40, 50? So you've been doing some things a certain way for that long, and they've been doing their things a certain way for that long. There's inevitably going to be conflict. So a lot of us misjudge those things in the beginning as I picked the wrong one. No, you probably picked the right one. And it probably means both of you are being authentic. Because that's the other thing that shows up is that somebody's lying. Somebody's just not keeping it real about how they really feel. Right? That's the other reason why they end up fighting a lot down the line. But if you're both arguing and going through in the beginning, my wife is spot on with that one. That, it probably does mean you both being authentic. And you just got to find ways to work things out. Because remember, one of the biggest things besides communication is compromise. In a marriage, you've got to learn how to not try to be right. And most of us don't realize that one of our single ways is that we try to be right. Right? We're always in this world of winner and loser, you know, counting likes and counting posts and counting all these things. It's always about losing and winning. We gotta understand that in a marriage, if my wife is losing, I'm losing. Like seriously, if I'm the only one winning, we're losing. She's gotta win too, man. It is so important, and she knows I gotta win too. So it allows us room to compromise. So you're two people working at becoming one. That means you gotta yield. That means you gotta. She's gonna rub me the wrong way. He's gonna rub you the wrong way because it's new. When else would you rub each other the wrong way? I mean, yes, I know it's the honeymoon phase, but it's towards the beginning.
And if you don't, then maybe you're pretending, or maybe you took a long time, you dated for a long time ahead of time. So you were able to work out these issues ahead of time. But you know what, babe, the good part about this that neither of us mentioned is that it creates an opportunity for your relationship to build foundations on whatever these issues are.
That's right.
Like one of the issues we had, which we discussed tonight at the beginning, was giving away money. Like we wanted to,
my wife was big
I wanted to give it. I wanted to have
everything.
anyone come, oh yes, I will help you. And then I would go to my husband after I already committed. I already told him we were going to help. Oh yes, oh he loves me so much, he's just going to say yes. My husband's like, what? Their issue does not constitute an emergency on my part. I'm like, what do you mean? But we have to help.
That was a phrase, y'all. That was my phrase. I used to
Their
say that all the
issue,
time.
their lack of planning does not constitute
mean
an emergency on my part.
That's
So,
the
because
truth.
I would go to him, I'm like, babe, we gotta help him, we gotta do it right now. He's like, whoa, what? He's like, you see this calendar? I already got my day and my week planned out, and it does not include them. I'm like, babe, what you told me? So the fact is that, you know, we went through that at the beginning, but out of that, we came up with the rock solid plan that we now have, which is, okay, well, let's create an account for people that we love and that we want to help. And, you know, and let's also have these rules that govern this account. And after the money runs out, the money runs out. And I'm sorry, that's all we have, and we're okay with that. Of course, our moms are not a part of that. Mom, I know you hear me. So our moms are not a part of that. But that's what we've done. And we've built a solid foundation around money on that. And little things happen like that because one thing that I was very, very, very religious about before even moving into the marriage is whenever there was a trial, I would stop and be like, okay, Lord, what is it in this moment that you need me to get from that? I would fast, I would pray, I would go without food until I heard from the Lord, until he revealed to me either through his word or through someone what I needed to get from that. So I actually carried that into our marriage, and my husband also carried his discipline of making sure that we set fundamental principles in our relationship like he does in every other part of our lives. I was a sloppy one. Although I had certain principles, I was still very like, oh, no big deal, we're going to do that. Oh, yeah, if it happens, it happens. My husband's like, no, we're going to be intentional about this. And I appreciated that. But at the beginning, I was like, what? Why is this not that serious? No. So just, guys, really pay attention to that. If you're arguing about money, that means that's an opportunity for you not to break up, but an opportunity for you to build a foundation on that. After that argument, really say, how can we fix this permanently, long term? And what fundamental things are we going to now use to build on that? Now we can save, and now we can build wealth because our money's blessed, because we have a plan around it versus not. And we also had issues around, oh my gosh, there's so many. Anyway.
I get the point, I think.
I get the point.
I think the only thing I would say to that is basically the problems are there to give birth to some blessing. And that's the simplest way I can put it. The problem is there to give birth to the blessing, but most of us don't look at it that way. We look at the problem as a problem, right? Because when I go to the gym and I want to build a muscle, what you don't realize is that I pick up a weight. If you were to really think about what that weight is, it's a negative resistance. So I need negative resistance in order to build a new muscle, right? So if that negative resistance wasn't there, I can only build a certain amount of muscle. So God, what I've seen, the way that he deals with us as human beings is he allows a problem to show up because that's there. That problem is pregnant with a blessing. The problem is most of us abort the baby before we discover the blessing, right? We say, I want to give up on the marriage. I want a divorce. you're insensitive, you don't think about me, rather than looking at what is this here to give birth to. So
powerful.
It's the
Do we have
truth.
time for one more question?
Let's do one more, baby.
All right. So our final question is, and this is going to be question number 7, I think.
I don't know.
Okay. Should I be upset if my spouse should I be upset if my spouse goes to the club or out too frequently?
Whoa.
Without you, I'm assuming.
Yeah, we're assuming it's without, because if it was with, I don't think it would ask us, right? That's a tricky one. I don't want to accuse anybody of anything, but, look, y'all, if you caught your fish, what you going fishing for? You guys asked, I gotta tell you the truth. Why are you going to the club? You like music? Play it in your house. What are you going? There's nothing wrong with socializing, but why do you have to socialize between 9 and 3 a.m. in the morning? Look, if you don't want to get bitten, don't go around snakes. If you don't want to catch fleas, stay away from dogs. If you don't want to get drunk, don't go to the bar. If you don't want to end up in a precarious situation, don't put yourself in one. That's just my personal opinion. I mean, again, free will, free country, free you. Do what you want, but you did ask us. So all I'm saying is, there's no reason to go to a club as a married person. What for?
Without your spouse.
Without you. What are you going for? Oh, I'm going to hang out with my friends. Do you have to go to the club to hang out with your friends? You can hang out with your friends anywhere you want, and you choose a club where you're going to be drinking and all kinds of things are going on, and we all know that liquor does lower our guard. Look, y'all, I'm just telling you the truth. As a married person, I have no business in certain places.
Right.
It's just the way I look at it.
Without my spouse, that is.
Yes.
I mean, we don't go to clubs because that's just not the lifestyle that we live.
Nothing against it. I used to.
We're not judging anyone.
Yeah.
However, can we just be real?
Yeah.
What is it? What do people go to a buffet for?
To eat.
Not just to eat, but to eat a lot.
A lot.
Right? They want to eat a lot when they go to a buffet.
Yeah.
Because if you just wanted, one meal, you'll just go to a regular restaurant. Most people go to sit down or take out. You'll order number 7, right? But most people go to a buffet because their appetite is big. So we have to be honest with ourselves. Why do most people go to club? What type of environment is at a club? Well, let us help you. Most people, when they go to a club, they're going there to get their sexy on. They're going there to dance. They're going there to feel sensual. They're going there to get attention. They're going there to hunt. They're going there for reasons that don't necessarily support a harmonious
marriage.
What is it? Like, what type of marriage, though?
Well, a covenant one, a God-fearing one.
Right. It doesn't necessarily support that. So, I mean, hey, but maybe, you and your spouse, you agree that, your girlfriend's in town and she wants to go and she's single. You made that decision, so of course you got to live with it. But if you are, doing that and that's a frequent activity and it's happening over and over and over again, you may need to sit down and have a serious conversation with your spouse on why that's happening in your relationship. Because for example, if I am not an alcoholic or if I don't like to drink, but I want to go for a smoothie, or I love smoothies, or I love orange juice on ice, why would I go to a bar to just get orange juice on ice or a smoothie? Like, are you really going for just orange juice on ice?
Right.
Now, you can get that at Whole Foods. You get that at Whole Foods, Publix, Kroger's, another one, Aldi. There's lots of places you can get orange juice on ice at. I mean, but going to a club where the environment is perfect. Yeah. Oh, my nails are messed up. So we're going to a club where environment is perfect. It's a perfect breeding ground for adultery. It's not wise. No, not at all. Not at all. I agree totally with my husband.
Yeah, y'all. Yeah, and so again, if you guys decide to do it together, fine, go for it. Yes. Have fun. But hey, I wouldn't do it. I'm just being honest with you. It's just not the place for us. Yeah. So, I mean, I wouldn't expose my child to porn. It's inappropriate, right? Hey, let's just keep it real. It's just the bottom line, y'all.
Yes.
So, anyway.
We just want to say hi to Stephanie Marshall, Bertho Darius, hello, what's up? Albert, thank you so much for joining us again. Dee and Eric, thank you so much. Vanessa Bell, Dolores Nixon, what's up, sweetie? Rebecca, hey, honey. Vanessa Bay, thank you so much for joining us. Tahira, yay! Hopefully you're still on here and I'm able to say hello. Shay Love, and again we have Diana, Abina, Califia joined us tonight. Thank you guys so much. This was such an awesome live. It was such a pleasure. Remember, please join us on our Instagram page where we are active every day, and we're still working things out with Facebook, so we're getting more active here as well. So, but please join us. It's at Marriage Academy, and we're getting ready to release some really big things that we're so super duper excited about. That the Lord is really working. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to just give you guys a sneak peek of what that's going to look like. So please, if you haven't already, share this video. Please, guys, just take a moment to share it. You never know whose marriage this can save.
Yep, absolutely. And again, thank you guys for joining us. Please check us out on Instagram and share with your friends and family. Thank you guys. We'll see you guys. Oh, by the way, next week, we probably going to do something very unique. We're going to be out of the country, so we're going to do our best to have Wi-Fi access. But we will keep you posted, so stay tuned. Even if we're not, we'll have someone share or something of that nature. But some way we'll be consistent with giving you guys these blessings. So again, thank you for joining us today on the Q&A. We'll do this more frequently, so please, if you do have questions around anything, send them to us. You can email them. You feel free to put them even in the lives, even if it has nothing to do with the subject at hand.
Or inbox.
Still put it in there, okay? So we can get those things addressed for you. So if no one has told you today, Obina and Belinda Ndu, we love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. God bless. See you guys over the top. Bye-bye.